ประศาสตร์วิชาลูกหลานล้วนก้าวหน้าทุกแรงล่าตามชื่นชมสถานศึกษาเด่นเรามุ่งเน้นอย่างเหมาะสมคุณครูช่วยอบรมบ่มนิสัยให้สิทธิ์ดี
Hi everyone, good day. So today we are going to continue our topic about science. So last time we talked about the things around us, the things that we can find around. So now let's take a deep look about what science is all about, or what more can we learn about science. So welcome to the topic science. Okay, so the first thing that we have here, look at the picture carefully. What can you observe, or what can you see? I can see a woman here, and of course equipments that used in experiments in science. So this woman, I think she is a scientist or a student or a medical student doing some experiment about science in the laboratory. So this room, okay, I will teach you some terms, okay? So this room that she used is called laboratory room. Laboratory room. So laboratory room is used usually by the medical expert, by the doctors, of course scientists, when they are doing some experiments for their studies or for their medicines. So this girl is considered, of course, a scientist or a student whose major is about science, and she uses some experiments and equipments for her studies. And the room that where she is called laboratory room. Okay, so next picture, what can you see? This one, of course, is a human being, a man or a woman. Okay, it's either of the two. So this picture shows a man or a woman in the space. Okay, so they use this cloth or this equipment when they go up to the space. Okay, so this job or this occupation or these people who are using this kind of cloth and he or she in the space is called an astronaut. This job is called an astronaut. He or she went or go to the space, okay, and take a look to our space and all the galaxy that can be found. So this one is called an astronaut. Very good. The next picture that speaks about science. So what can you observe, or what can you see? I can see different colors, of course, different things or different terms about science. Okay, I can see also objects. Okay, so this one is an example of a galaxy. Galaxy. If we can go up there on the space, we can see this true example of galaxy. So it contains of different colors and of course different objects about science. So galaxy is an example of the term that we can encounter in science. Galaxy. So this is the example of galaxy. Let's take a look for the next picture. What can you see? Is that an airplane? No. Is that an helicopter? Of course. No, it's not. But I can see this object. It is used in flying in space. Okay? Flying up there, not up down. Okay? So, similar. When you are up, I can see clouds, right? These are clouds. But what do you think is this object that speaks about or signifies in the field of science? So this one is called a rocket. 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 One more time. Rocket. So rocket is used by the people who works in NASA or in the science field. Okay, they use rocket to go and look on the space or in the galaxy. So this one is called rocket. Rocket. One more time. Rocket. They serve or they use this one as a transportation in going to our space or in the galaxy. Rocket. Next picture. Okay, now let's learn about some words or vocabulary words that we used in science to differentiate different things and to differentiate how these words works in real life situations. Okay, the first one we have here in this picture, what can you see? Of course, we can see two boys, right? Two boys. So what do you think they are doing? Okay, but let's read first the statement here. Push and pull are opposite forces. One more time, listen carefully. Push and pull are opposite forces. So that two words that I told you about push and pull are used in scientifically term, and of course we encounter this every day. So it means they are different from each other, opposite forces. They are not the same in terms of the strength or how we apply or how we use that word, the push and pull. So let's have a look for the pull. First word, pull. P-U-L-L, pull. P-U-L-L, pull. An example of the pull of a pull is when you pull a thing like this. You do this, pull, pull, like that, pull. P-U-L-L, pull. When you pull, example, the door, or when you pull a chair, pull. P-U-L-L, pull. Next word, push. Push. P-U-S-H, push. Example of push is when you do like this. Example, this is a wood or a door. Okay, you can use this by doing this your hands, push. Or when you move an object, you do it like this, push, push. Okay, pull and push. One more time, pull and push. So that is the difference between the two. Take a look of this picture. So the same, still an example of the picture, pull. Okay, when you pull the doorknob of the door, okay, it's called pull. Pull, this one. The next, when you are playing the game we use a rope, okay? So we need to pull, okay? Pull the rope. Pull the rope. So it gives us strength, okay, when we pull some objects. Next, what is that? Okay? The first picture, way back there, is pull. This picture is an example of push, okay? This man, he is pushing, or he pushed that thing, okay? He pushed that thing like this. Push to move that object. Push, okay? And the next is a man with his car. So he pushed his car to move forward or backward, or to give any movement, okay? We use push when we want certain object to move to a certain place or to move to any places. Okay, that is push. Next, let's take a look for this scientific terms that we use in science. Okay, so similar to that, they are both in the water, right? We have water in the picture. Can you see? Yes, we have water. And of course, the things that they use, okay? The things that they use to have an experiment. In what are the difference between the two scientific terms? Okay, so let's have a look for the first picture. Okay, float, float, float. Okay, let's spell the word float. F L O A T. Float. One more time. Float, float. Okay, so if you have a water, for example, I have a water. If you put some things inside that glass that have a water, and these things, okay, remains up in the water, if they remains only up in the water, it's called float. Okay, it's called float. If those things are still here, okay, we use or we call this one as float. How about sink? Okay, sink, sink, S-I-N-K, sink, sink. So in sink, if you put an object or things inside or in the water, and if that object goes down, they did not stay up, okay, they go down, example like this, they go down in the water, it's called sink, sink, sink. Okay, so the difference between the two is float, the object is up, and sink, if the object goes down, that sink, and sink. So that is the difference between the two. Let's take a look for more example about float. So the ball stay up in the water, so this is float, float, float. Okay, and the last is, what can you see in the picture? Okay, so the object here goes down, right? It goes down in the water, so it's called sink, sink. So we have here the things that we use in order for us to know the things that float and sink. So we have the ball first. So it will float or sink. Of So we have the ball. It will float or sink. Float. Good. Next, wooden blocks. Float or sink? Of course, it will float. Okay. Blocks, float or sink? Float, because it's not heavy. The next is the bottle cup. Float or sink? Float. Okay, good. The next object, that wooden pin, what would be? Float or sink? Float, because it's not that too much heavy. And that plastic toy, float or sink? Float. Okay. Let's have a look for the next. The spoon. Will the spoon float or sink? It sink. Very good. Next is the comb. Look at carefully. Sink. The rubber. Rubber. Sink or float? Sink. That's right. And the magnet. Magnet. Will it float or sink? Float. Sink. Next is the pin. Will it float or sink? It will sink. And the ball, the other one ball, sink or float? Float. Okay. Still have the clip, the black clip. Float or sink? What is the answer? Float. And the last two we have there is straw. Will it float or sink? It float. Let's try on the other side. Float or sink? Float. And the remaining two or one straw, we cut it. Will it float or sink? Float. And the other one, the last one, float. Very good. So I hope you've learned something about the differences of float and sink. So thank you everyone and have a good day. Bye.